Hello and good morning. My name is Brady Johnson. Today I'll be talking about Arctic Ocean. And more specifically, how does the level of carbon in the Arctic cause degradation of Arctic ecosystems? And it does this in a couple of ways. The level of carbon can cause increased water acidity and damage marine life, damage shell-based marine life. Okay. According to the stimulus material, Ocean Health Index, seabirds, turtles, marine mammals, and fish can mistake floating trash for food. If ingested, it can choke them or block their digestive systems. So this shows how destructive debris pollution can be. However, carbon pollution is worse than debris pollution. Keep in mind how vast and large the ocean is. So something like debris pollution doesn't exist all throughout the ocean, while carbon pollution does, and therefore affects the entire ecosystem. According to EPA Web Archive, as the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere rises, the ocean absorbs a lot of it. In the ocean, carbon dioxide reacts with seawater to form carbonic acid. This causes the acidity of seawater to increase. So as the level of carbon in the ocean increases, the acidity of the water also increases. In this graph from the Alaskan Ocean Acidification Network shows this. The dark blue line represents the level of carbon in the ocean, and the light blue line represents the pH level of the water. As you can see, at the dark blue line, where carbon in the ocean increases, the pH of the water decreases, or in other words, the acidity of the water is increasing. This shows that carbon can change the chemistry of the ocean, which is very important for the ecosystem. It causes problems such as acidity of water increasing. According to Joseph Cheek, as pH decreases, so does the concentration of carbonate ions in the water. Organisms like shellfish that form calcium carbonate shells and skeletons need significant amounts of carbonate ions in the water in order to form their shell skeletons. The Alaskan Ocean Acidification Network mentions lowering the pH of seawater affects the ability of shell-building organisms to build and maintain their shells. These include crabs, oysters, clams, sea urchins, corals, and sometimes the plankton. Petalpods, which are one of the foundational pieces of the marine food chain in Alaska. Both these pieces show that increased acidity causes damage to shell-based marine life in the Arctic. Shell-based marine organisms play a vital role in the Arctic food chain. So if they're damaged or disrupted, it'll have rippling effect throughout the entire food chain. As you can see in this Arctic food web illustrated by Alexander Vidal, plankton, mussels, clams, and crustaceans are at the bottom of the food web or first level. So if they're damaged, it'll have rippling effects up to the very top, like polar bears and killer whales. There are ways to reduce the amount of carbon in the ocean. Since the ocean absorbs a lot of carbon from the atmosphere, if we can reduce the amount of carbon we put into the atmosphere, we can limit the amount of carbon that's in the ocean. A couple of ways to do that is use clean energy like solar panels and public transportation. Solar panels don't require fossil fuels, so there won't be any carbon emissions. And public transportation limits the amount of people in cars driving, which also limits the amount of carbon being emitted from cars. Stopping and preventing carbon pollution is very important and must happen in order to protect the Arctic ecosystems. Thank you.
I got two questions for you. First one, how valid and reliable were the sources that you used, and then how do you know?
So one of the sources I used was stimulus-based, so it came from you, so I knew it was valid. And other sources, I checked the credibility of authors and made sure they were up to date, so they were valid and credible.
Okay. And what advice would you have for someone else doing this topic in the future?
Know what you're researching. So there's a lot of bogus when you research. So there's a lot of people trying to push their own agendas. So using scientific-based research or credible sources is very important.